Hello, Queens and Kings. My name is Thandeka Shabangu. Welcome to my channel. If it is your first time here, welcome, welcome. If you're a returning subscriber, thank you for coming back. Welcome to the part 2 tutorial for our beaded velvet apron. So for the first part, we constructed our apron, and for this part, we will be adding beading into our apron. It's going to be very nice and exciting. So what materials are we going to be using for this part for today's video? We're going to be using our velvet apron that we constructed in the previous part. We're also going to need 3 belts. So 3 beaded belts of any pattern that you would like, a matching color thread to the color of your apron, and upholstery thread and your needle. So let's get started. So this is how our apron is going to be. So these are the 3 belts. Belt number 1, 2, and belt number 3. So what we're going to do, we're going to join these 2 belts together, and then later on we're going to join these 2 belts together separately, and then we're going to add tassels that are going to go down, and then we're going to install it on our apron. We're going to install this belt separately on our apron, so that's where we're going to need a thread that has the same color with your apron, so that your work will be nice and neat. So if you look here, I still have the thread and the needle still attached to this belt. So I'm just going to find the center, and then we're going to join it separately. But this is the vision of what we're going for. You're going to make like a capital I. So you have 2 belts across, and then you have 1 belt, 1 thick belt going down. This pattern, we do have them in our channel. They are available. Please scroll. You'll find them. Yes. So it can be any pattern that you like, any design, and then this is what we're going to do. So now let's get started with joining our 2 belts together, and then yeah, we'll take it from there. Okay, so I've aligned them according to how it's supposed to be. I've aligned the centers together and the sides together. So whatever we're going to do, we're going to start here and move across. Ne? Okay, so Queens and Kings, the 2 things that we have to notice, we're going to be dealing with the side of your belt. Okay, you'll be dealing with the length and your width of your belt. So those 2 things are different. If you look at your width, you have 3 beads that are protruding. 3 beads, 3 beads, 3 beads, 3 beads, 3 beads that are protruding. But if you look at the length of your belt, you have 2 beads that are protruding instead of 3. Ne? This side you have your 3 beads that are protruding, but on this side you have 2 beads that are protruding. Now we're going to be working with that. So please take note of that, because we're going to focus on those 2 elements. Ne? So when you start here in the corner, you're going to pick up 2 beads. Because I have a yellow, I made sure it's yellow because I want it to be a solid color. I'm going to have 2 beads, and then this is where I'm going to start. I'm going to insert my needle into the 2 beads when I start, ne? Into the 2 beads. Then I pull my thread nicely like this. And then I pick up 1 yellow bead. Now remember, here we have 3 beads instead of 2. So you're going to insert your needle into the second bead, the bead that is in the center of your 3 beads. Ne? Okay. I take my needle, I insert it into the central bead. Then I pull my thread, pull it to be nice and tight. Okay? And then you're going to pick up one bead. In this case, I'm going to pick up yellow. So now, remember when we started, we inserted our needle into the two beads. Okay, let me pick up our belt and zoom in. But now, as you move forward, you are only going to insert your needle into the second bead. Like, if you have two beads, you have 1, 2. You only insert your needle into the second bead. In this case, the last bead of the two beads. Okay? Then you pull your thread. I pick up one bead and then I insert my needle into the central bead from the 3 beads. And then I do what? I pull. Then what do? I pick up another bead, set my needle into the second bead from the 2 beads. Set my needle into the second bead. So it's 1, 2. Please mind my finger. So you see how it's looking like. So this is why I wanted a solid color, because I know the two patterns are different. So I didn't want them to be too shaisana. Okay, then I insert my needle, I pick up one bead, I insert my needle into the central bead. So this will be the process that you're going to use until you get to the end. You pick up one bead and insert it into the second bead like this. Then you pull. Okay, so we continue. Now, I had to open for my dad. You pick up one bead and then insert your needle into the central bead from the 3 beads. Ne? You pick up one bead. Did I say pick up one needle before? You pick up one bead, then insert your needle into the second bead from the 2 beads. 1, 2. First, second. Then you pick up one bead. This is why I wanted a solid color, because, okay, let me stop over explaining because it will be confusing. Insert your needle into the central bead. See, pick up one bead, insert your needle into the second bead. You pick up one bead, insert it into the central bead. So you're going to do this until you get to the end. Currently, this is how it's looking like. Then you're going to do this until you get to the end. So I'm going to do this off camera, and then we're going to come back once we've done, because we still have a lot to do, queens and kings. We're still going to add tassels, and then we're still going to attach this into our apron, and we have to finish everything in one video. Okay, so far this is how it's looking like, ne? So this is another thing that you can use. You can also use this process when you are creating a belt on its own without attaching it to your apron. You know those cross belts, is it so? And then you also have like small boil belts. Then you have joining lines. Ooh, nice. Okay, I'll come back. Okay, so I've stitched until I got to this point. I just wanted to show you how I'm going to finish. You're going to finish when you get to the end. You do the same process, ne? I inserted my needle into the second bead, and then I pick up one bead. Then I insert my needle into the central bead. So here you're going to have 4 beads because it's the corner. So you're going to count 1 to that second bead. Oh, sorry. You're going to count 1, 2. That second bead. That is the one that's protruding. That is the one you're going to insert your needle in. Then this is how you're going to look like. And then I pick up one bead. And I insert my needle into the second bead. Then I pull. Pull your thread. So this is how it's looking like. Let me just put it closer to the camera that you can see. This is how it's looking like, ne? So what we're going to do now, just to make sure that you secure everything, insert your needle into that bead. Now we just want to fasten our thread and make sure it's nice and secure. I keep forgetting, Guti. I should move my hand accordingly, away from the camera, not across. Okay. Then I'm gonna come back here. Okay. Then what you're going to do, you're securing it. So you're gonna fasten nicely and tightly. Okay. So this is how it's looking like, ne? This is how our belt is looking like. So now we're going to get started with our tassel. Because we're already here, you're going to add your tassel. What do? I'm going to pick up beads. Now, because everything is custom made, I'm not aware of how long your belt is, but your tassel has to be the same length with your belt. What I'm going to do, I'm just going to show you adding the tassel. I'm just going to add 2 tassels, and then I'm not going to focus on the amount of beads or what colors of beads I pick up, because it will be custom made according to the length of your belt. For other people, they might want shorter tassels, not up to the end. It is all up to you, queens and kings. Yo, but I'm still gonna work. Hey, but like tassels, hey. Yeah. Okay, let me pick them up off camera and then I'll come back. Okay, queens and kings. So I've added my tassel. I've added my beads. I just want to show you how long it is. My camera can't cover from top to bottom. So this is how it's looked like now. This is my thread. So what you're going to do when you create your tassel, just gonna have one bead apart from the rest of the beads that you picked up, just one. And then you're going to skip that bead and only insert your needle into the rest of the beads in this entire tassel. So this might take a while. This might take a while. So this is what you're going to have at the end. It's going to be like your stopper bead. So you keep adding your needle into all your beads. I wish I used a longer needle, but that's okay. That's okay. We'll manage, aren't we? We're gonna manage. We're gonna manage, aren't we? We are gonna manage, aren't we? And this is not even the juicy part. The juicy part is when we get to the top. So going to do this until you get to the top. This is a very long tassel, queens and kings. So I'm not going to have specifications on how many beads I used, or I actually used 105. I picked up 105, yes, because 3, 6, 9, 5, 10, 15, 90 plus 15. And it all will be dependent on the length of your tassel. It will all be dependent on the, if you want your tassel to be shorter than your belt, that's okay. If you want your tassel to be the same length as your belt, that's okay. Okay, so now we've added our needle into all the beads, ne? From the end all at the top. So now when you get to the top, what are you going to do? Remember, we did speak about the 2 2 2, but in between those two, there are these gap in between the two beads. So in these gaps, that's where we are going to add our tassel. So we have two here, two black beads and one black and red beads, and then there's a gap. That's the gap we're going to use to add this tassel. When you're done, you insert your needle into these two beads on the side, and then you protrude like this. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to pick up my beads for my tassel. You see that space in between the two groups of beads, in two pairs of beads. That is where we're going to add our tassels. If you want to skip, that's okay. If you want to skip, that's fine. You can skip one gap and add to another. That's fine too. If you want to add into each tassel, that's fine too. Okay. So now I'm going to add my tassel, and then I'm going to come back to show you how I add it at the top. Okay, so we're now on the third tassel. So I've added my tassel nicely all the way to the end, and you can see our stopper beads. Okay, so now I want to move on and start a new tassel. So you're just going to insert your needle into the next two beads. I just allowed to the next two beads like this, and then you pull your thread. And then once you're done, you add your beads. So in this case, I'm picking up 30 red beads, 5 yellow, 30 blue, 5 yellow, and 30 light green, and 6 yellow. So, remember, the colors and the number of beads that you're going to pick up for your tassel are all going to dependent on you. Okay, so I'm just going to add my beads. So I'm just going to add my tassels, and then when we meet, we'll just be transferring our belt into our apron. So I'll be away for a while, okay? For you, it's just going to be for seconds, but in reality, I'm going to be away for a very long time. So queens and kings, we've done attaching here, and what I did, I also attached here at the bottom. I've done our tassel. So now I just like to show you how we'll be moving with our thread. So we're gonna start here at the top, move up, move around the tassel and all around, and come back here and move down the side, and then we do the bottom. So this is how we're going to move queens and kings. So now I'm going to show you how you're going to be using your needle and your thread. Currently, this is our needle and our thread. Please make sure that your thread matches the color of your velvet apron. The thread that I'm using is a sewing thread that I use for my machine. It's not upholstery thread, so it's very thin. So that's why I'm using double thread for this time. So now let's do the stitch, and let me show you how you go about. Okay, so I like to start at the corner. So you're going to start at the corner. You are just going to pierce your... Oh, here's another thing. I need to... Here we had a bend. So I'm going to use this as my reference point. I'm going to add my belt just above the stitch that we created there, above that stitch, ne? So I'm going to use it as a reference. So poke your needle from the bottom up. Just make that small poke there at the corner. Then you pull your thread. So here's your thread. Let me cut off the tail. Okay. Now I place my needle on top of the thread. Ne? I place my belt on top of there. I insert my needle under the belt, and then I do like this. Then I insert my needle. Oopsie. Then I insert my needle. I poke it. I poke the material, and then make sure it's moving outside the holes like this. So the goal, then you pull. You see, this is the side view. Poke your velvet and into the hole, then bobo, the hole, and then you take your tail, you overlap it in between the beads because we want to hide our thread, ne? So we're doing two things. We're stitching on our belt, and then we also want to hide it and make it as neat as we possibly can. So this is how you're going to move for the rest of the video. You move like this. See? So this is the side view. This is how it's looking like. Yes. So you move all the way. All the way, way. All the way. This is how it is, queens and kings. So this is how you'll be moving throughout your entire apron. So here it is, queens and kings. This is how your velvet apron looks like when it's done. These are the tassels. They have this nice motion to it. If you like, you can also add a nice beaded details at the top part of your velvet apron. You can just add like beads there. You can do a nice matching velvet duke and add beads, and then it will be a nice set. Thank you so much for watching, queens and kings. I love you guys so much. Remember to love yourself, respect yourself, honor yourself, and have fun. See you on the next video, queens and kings. Bye.